Welcome back. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket that could be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. A coin so ordinary at first glance, yet hiding a secret that makes collectors across the country stop in their tracks. Today, we're diving into one of those rare and fascinating treasures, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's a coin that looks simple, familiar, almost forgettable, but in the right hands, it can tell a story worth more than its face value. The 1971 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. These pennies have appeared in every American wallet for over a century, featuring Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Most of us have handled them countless times without a second thought. But the 1971 no-mint mark version is special, and that special nature is what we'll explore today. To understand why this penny matters, we need to step back to 1971. The United States was in the middle of an era marked by change and challenge. The Vietnam War was ongoing, and the economy was adjusting to shifts in metal prices and coin production. The Lincoln penny, made primarily from copper, had become so common that minting millions each year was routine. The 1971 penny was struck at two different mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins produced in Denver carry a small D mint mark under the date. Those made in Philadelphia usually had no mint mark. But here's the twist. In rare cases, pennies were produced without the mint mark when collectors and historians might expect one, or they appear with unusual characteristics that make them stand out. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny features the same familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, with the words E pluribus unum and United States of America clearly visible. It is composed primarily of a copper alloy, though some transitional pieces from this era include traces of zinc or other metals, depending on production. The edges are smooth, and the coin weighs just under 3 grams. At first glance, it's indistinguishable from thousands of other pennies minted that year. But if you look closer, there are subtle differences that alert collectors that this might be something more. What makes this penny rare is not just its age or design, but its minting anomalies. Over the years, collectors have noted that a small number of 1971 pennies were struck without a mint mark due to production quirks. Some of these coins were test strikes, some were errors, and some were simply misprints that slipped through quality control. Coins like these are rare because the vast majority of pennies from Philadelphia were ordinary and plentiful, but a few made it into circulation with this unusual feature, giving them a collector's edge. Value in coins like this is driven by rarity, condition, and collector demand. A standard 1971 penny without a mint mark in average condition might be worth only a few cents. But if the coin is in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and no wear, its value can climb dramatically. There have been cases where well-preserved examples have sold at auctions for hundreds of dollars. Certain examples with particularly clear no-mint mark characteristics, or coins that show unique die errors, have even crossed the $1,000 mark. For anyone who stumbles upon one in their change or in an old collection, it's worth taking a closer look. Identifying a real 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is easier than it might seem, but attention to detail is key. First, check the date closely. The 1971 should be sharply struck. Next, look for the mint mark. If there is a small D beneath the date, it's a Denver coin. If there is none, you might have a Philadelphia no-mint mark penny, but be cautious. Counterfeiters and altered coins exist, so collectors often examine weight, metal composition, and microscopic details. Coins that have been tampered with can sometimes be detected by inconsistencies in color, unusual surface texture, or letters that look slightly off. Using a magnifying glass and consulting a trusted coin guide can save a lot of time and uncertainty. There are some surprising details about the 1971 penny that make it even more intriguing. For example, this was the era just before the transition from primarily copper coins to the zinc-based pennies we see today. That means a 1971 penny carries a little bit of American history in its composition. Additionally, subtle variations in the striking process can create double-die effects, slight shifts in the lettering, or tiny flaws that, while invisible to most casual observers, are prized by dedicated collectors. A penny that has been handled carefully, with original luster intact, becomes more than a coin, it becomes a tangible piece of history. Collectors love this coin today for many reasons. Beyond its potential monetary value, it tells a story about the era in which it was made. Each coin carries the imprint of a mint worker's skill, the pressure of the press, and the passage of time. Holding a 1971 no-mint mark penny is like holding a snapshot of 1970s America in your hand. It's a reminder that even the smallest, most familiar objects can carry secrets worth discovering. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of identifying a rare variant, and the connection to history all make collecting Lincoln pennies a deeply rewarding hobby. Even casual collectors are drawn to this coin because of the mystery it represents. How many of these pennies were made? How many are still in existence today? Could the coin in your pocket be the one that commands attention at an auction? The story of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is still being written, and each coin discovered adds a new chapter. So next time you sort through a jar of loose change or find an old coin in a drawer, take a closer look at that little copper disc. It might seem ordinary, but history has a way of hiding in plain sight. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even something as simple as a 1-cent coin can carry value, mystery, and a story that spans decades. Who knows what treasures are waiting to be found in the coins you already own? Keep your eyes open, your curiosity sharp, and remember that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may not be flashy, but it is a quiet testament to history, craftsmanship, and the endless fascination of coin collecting. And for those who discover one, it's a reminder that treasures are often hidden in the most familiar places, waiting for someone with a keen eye to notice them. Keep looking, and you might just find a piece of American history hiding in plain sight. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, something so small yet so full of stories, stories that date back over 40 years. Today, we're diving into a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but for collectors and history enthusiasts, it holds a special place. We're talking about the 1979 D-Mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that quietly carries the story of America in its copper and zinc layers. Whether you're a casual coin owner, a history buff, or someone curious about hidden treasures in your pocket change, this coin has a tale worth hearing. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins that feature the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The D Mint mark tells us that this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities of the United States Mint. At first glance, it may seem just like any other penny in circulation, but history has a way of giving ordinary objects extraordinary significance. This coin is a reminder of a time when the U.S. economy was shifting, when copper prices were rising, and when the design of the penny had already settled into a familiar pattern that Americans had seen for decades. Let's go back to 1979. The United States was in the midst of a changing economic landscape. Inflation was a growing concern, and the cost of metal was steadily climbing. The penny itself had evolved over the years, and by 1979, the coin's composition was well established, a core of copper with a thin outer layer of zinc. This combination had been in use since 1962, after the U.S. Mint had begun moving away from the nearly pure copper pennies of earlier decades. The penny's design, however, remained constant. Abraham Lincoln's profile adorned the obverse, a design that had been in use since 1909, celebrating the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute added in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1979, this design was so familiar that most people rarely paused to notice its details. The 1979 D penny is not just about the year or the mint. It carries some unique features that set it apart from its peers. First, it is struck primarily in a copper-plated zinc composition, a choice that affected both its color and weight. This made it lighter than earlier copper pennies, yet still maintained the classic reddish hue. While 1979 pennies are generally common, the Denver Mint produced coins with certain subtle variations that catch the eye of collectors. Some coins from this year have minor errors, like doubled dies or variations in the placement of the mint mark, though these are not widespread. These small quirks may seem insignificant, but in the world of coin collecting, they can make all the difference. So, why might a 1979 D Lincoln penny be considered rare or valuable? While millions of these pennies were minted, coins that have remained in pristine, uncirculated condition are increasingly scarce. Most pennies pass through countless hands, losing their original luster and acquiring scratches, nicks, and wear over time. A 1979 D penny that looks like it just came off the mint press is highly sought after by collectors who specialize in 20th century coins. Additionally, coins with certain minor errors or unusual characteristics can command higher prices, sometimes several $100s depending on the severity and visibility of the error. To give you a sense of real-world value, some auctions and private sales have recorded 1979 D Lincoln pennies in exceptional condition, fetching impressive prices. For example, a penny graded M-65, which is an exceptionally high grade indicating near-perfect preservation, could sell for over $50, and coins with verified minor die errors or doubled dies can go for significantly more. While this may not seem like a fortune compared to older rare pennies, it demonstrates that even coins from the late 1970s can have collectible appeal when preserved well. It's a reminder that rarity is not only about age, but also about condition, uniqueness, and demand among collectors. Identifying a real 1979 D penny is straightforward, but there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, examine the mint mark. The D should be clear, centered, and consistent with the official Denver Mint style. Check the coin's weight and color. A genuine 1979 D penny will have the correct copper zinc composition and the familiar reddish tone. Be wary of coins that look overly shiny or have unusual coloring, as these may have been cleaned or altered. Minor errors like doubled dies should be subtle and carefully inspected with a magnifying glass. Learning to spot these details is part of what makes collecting coins both educational and thrilling. Beyond its technical features, there are some fun and surprising facts about the 1979 D Lincoln penny. Did you know that the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse contains tiny, almost invisible details, including a miniature depiction of Lincoln's statue inside the memorial? These details are so fine that they often go unnoticed by casual observers. Additionally, the 1979 D penny is part of a fascinating moment in U.S. history when copper prices were climbing, leading to debates about whether the penny should be discontinued or changed in composition. These debates continue to this day, which gives this coin a sense of historical significance that goes beyond its monetary value. Collectors today love the 1979 D Lincoln penny for its connection to both history and everyday life. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s, which can feel distant and almost mythical, this penny is from a time many collectors remember personally. Holding it evokes memories of the late 1970s, a time of big hair, bell-bottoms, and disco music, yet also a period when the smallest details in everyday objects, like coins, reflected broader economic trends. For many, it's the perfect blend of nostalgia and tangible history. It's not just a piece of metal, it's a story you can hold, a connection to a moment in time. In the end, the 1979 D. Lincoln penny may appear humble and ordinary, but it carries layers of history, small quirks that thrill collectors, and subtle details that make it a miniature work of art. Its story is not just about numbers or metal content. It's about the people who used it, the society that produced it, and the collectors who continue to cherish it today. So the next time you glance at a penny, remember that even the most commonplace coins can hide remarkable tales. You never know which coin in your change could be the one that sparks a collector's curiosity or connects you to history in a way that feels unexpectedly close. Keep an eye out, because sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones you've been carrying around in your pocket all along. Welcome back. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, just a small piece of copper, yet it could hide a story that makes collectors' hearts race. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing coins from the late 20th century, the 1990 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. You might think, a penny from 1990. How could that possibly be rare or valuable? Well, stay with me, because this tiny coin has a tale that's far from ordinary. The 1990 Lincoln penny, part of the famous Lincoln cent series, was minted in the United States to honor the 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent has been produced since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 1990, the design had become familiar to every American. A profile of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But this particular penny stands out because of a detail many people overlook: the absence of a mint mark. In 1990, most pennies were minted at the Denver or Philadelphia mints. Coins from Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D on paper that seems straightforward. Yet in practice, the 1990 no mint mark penny holds a subtle significance for collectors. While millions were produced, certain circulation patterns and surviving conditions make some of these coins quietly sought after in the numismatic community. The year 1990 was a typical one in the history of the Lincoln cent, but it also marked a period of careful production. The U.S. Mint was using a copper-plated zinc composition, introduced just 2 years prior in 1982. This new composition meant that each penny was mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, rather than solid copper as in earlier decades. The change affected the weight and feel of the coin, giving modern pennies a slightly different sound when dropped onto a table and a noticeably lighter touch in your hand. Design-wise, the 1990 Lincoln penny remained faithful to the classic elements. Abraham Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, had endured nearly unchanged for over 80 years. The reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a familiar image that over time has come to symbolize more than just a building. It represents the continuity of American history on a small, everyday object. One of the reasons the 1990 no mint mark penny attracts attention is not just its age, but its condition. Most pennies from that year have been in circulation for over 3 decades. Many show wear, scratches, or discoloration. Yet occasionally, a collector will find a specimen in pristine, uncirculated condition. These coins retain sharp details, bright copper tones, and smooth edges, making them rare in the sense of quality rather than sheer scarcity. Another interesting aspect is the variety of errors that can occur with any coin. While the 1990 Lincoln penny does not have widespread major errors like some earlier cents, minor anomalies such as double strikes, die cracks, or off-center impressions occasionally appear. These errors, though subtle, can elevate a coin's value significantly in collector circles. An off-center strike of just a few millimeters may seem tiny, but to a numismatist, it turns an everyday penny into a conversation piece and a potential investment. So how much could one of these pennies be worth? In everyday circulation, a 1990 no-mint mark penny is still worth face value, 1 cent. But in uncirculated condition, especially graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, the value can jump. High-grade examples can sell for several dollars, and rare error variants can go much higher. There have been instances in auctions where a flawless 1990 penny or a particularly unusual error brought in hundreds of dollars, demonstrating how condition and uniqueness drive collector interest rather than simply the coin's age. If you want to identify a real 1990 no-mint mark penny, there are a few simple tips. First, check the weight. Authentic pennies from this era weigh just under 3 grams due to the copper-plated zinc composition. Look closely at the obverse and reverse details. Genuine coins have precise, well-defined features, especially in Lincoln's hair, beard, and the fine lines of the Lincoln Memorial. Avoid coins that appear unusually thick, lightweight, or have fuzzy details, as these could be modern reproductions or counterfeit pieces. For serious collectors, consulting a professional grading service is always the safest path. Here's a fun detail you might not know. While the 1990 penny seems recent, it's already a historical artifact. Children born in 1990 are now adults, and these pennies have passed through countless hands, from cash registers to piggy banks to loose change jars. Each coin carries a tiny imprint of everyday American life from that year. Some even bear minor scratches or marks that tell their own story: a grocery store checkout, a lunch money exchange, or a college vending machine transaction decades ago. Collectors are drawn to the 1990 no-mint mark penny, not just for its condition or potential error value, but because it represents a bridge between the modern and historical Lincoln cents. It's a reminder that numismatics isn't only about coins from the 1800s or early 1900s. Even late 20th century coins can offer intrigue, challenge, and satisfaction for those who take the time to search, study, and preserve them. The combination of history, subtle rarity, and the thrill of discovery makes even a single penny from 1990 captivating. So the next time you pick up a seemingly ordinary penny, take a closer look. You never know if it might be a 1990 Lincoln no-mint mark penny, sitting quietly in circulation, yet carrying the potential to spark curiosity, conversation, and perhaps even surprise value. The story of this penny reminds us that history doesn't always come in grand monuments or centuries-old artifacts. Sometimes it's hidden in the small, overlooked corners of our everyday lives. Imagine what other stories are waiting to be found in the coins jingling in your pocket right now. Even though millions of pennies were minted in 1990, the true excitement lies in the hunt. Finding one in excellent condition, spotting a subtle error, or recognizing its place in history gives collectors a sense of connection to the past. It's a coin that may appear ordinary, yet when you understand its story, it becomes extraordinary. The 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just change. It's a small window into the life and times of late 20th century America. So keep your eyes open, examine every coin with curiosity, and remember that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Sometimes the most fascinating pieces are the ones hiding in plain sight. And who knows? The next 1990 Lincoln penny you pick up could be more than just a penny. It could be a piece of history waiting to be discovered. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of Americans used every day, but this one is special. So special that collectors have paid hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for it. Today, we're diving into a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but hides stories, history, and even tiny secrets. The 1992 D. Lincoln penny. You might have one sitting in your drawer right now without even knowing it. The 1992 D. Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 1992, the Lincoln penny had been in circulation for over 80 years, a small but enduring symbol of American history. The D mint mark tells us this coin was minted in Denver, one of the United States Mint's primary production facilities. To most people, it's just a penny, but for coin collectors, it's a fascinating snapshot of the early 1990s economy, design, and sometimes minting errors. So why does a 1992 D Lincoln penny stand out? To understand that, let's take a brief look at its history. The early 1990s were a transitional period for pennies. The U.S. Mint had been experimenting with new ways to reduce production costs and improve durability. Pennies in 1992 were struck primarily from a copper-plated zinc composition, with a 97.5% zinc core and a thin layer of copper. This was a shift from earlier years when pennies were mostly solid copper. The change made pennies lighter and more affordable to produce, but it also introduced the potential for certain errors, which would later make some 1992 pennies particularly interesting to collectors. The design of the 1992 D Lincoln penny stays true to the classic Lincoln cent. On the obverse, we see Abraham Lincoln's portrait, sculpted by Victor David Brenner, looking solemn and dignified. The word liberty stretches to the left, the date sits neatly to the right, and the tiny D mint mark shows the Denver origin. Flip it over, and you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, an image introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. While it might seem ordinary, every detail matters to collectors. The lines in the memorial, the clarity of the date, and even the thickness of the letters can influence a coin's value. Now, not every 1992 D penny is rare. Millions were minted, making most of them common in circulation. But what makes certain examples extraordinary are minting errors. Some pennies from this year were struck with doubling on the date or the lettering, a phenomenon collectors call a double die. Others were missing parts of the mint mark or showed unusual planchet defects, like an off-center strike or a lamination error where layers of the metal flake apart. These quirks, often invisible to the untrained eye, can transform an everyday penny into a sought-after collector's piece. Even a small error can elevate a coin from being worth 1 cent to hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. Let's talk numbers. In recent auctions, 1992 D Lincoln pennies with notable errors have sold for significant amounts. For example, a 1992 D double die penny in pristine condition can fetch several $100s from dedicated collectors. A particularly dramatic off-center strike, where part of Lincoln's face or the date is missing, has been known to sell for over $1,000. These aren't everyday finds, of course, but they illustrate why collectors keep a close eye on even seemingly ordinary coins. Identifying a real 1992 D Lincoln penny, especially one with a minting error, takes a careful eye. First, check the mint mark and the date. Doubling is usually most visible on the date or on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to inspect the surface for subtle changes in depth or shape. Be wary of altered coins, as fakes and manipulated doubles exist. Authenticity often comes down to small details, sharpness of lines, consistency of the metal, and when possible, certification by a professional grading service. Certified coins, particularly those graded by the American Numismatic Association, or PCGS, can give buyers confidence that what they hold is genuine. Beyond their value, 1992 D Lincoln pennies carry interesting tidbits. Did you know that 1992 was the last year before the mint experimented with a process to reduce the thickness of the copper layer even further? This subtle change made certain coins more prone to showing wear or developing spots, which collectors often describe as patina or toning. While some might see this as a flaw, many collectors prize these natural variations for the character they give a coin. Another fun fact: during the 1992 minting, the Denver facility produced over 7 billion pennies, meaning that while most are ordinary, the few errors or unusual examples are the true gems. Collectors love the 1992 D Lincoln penny today for many reasons. It represents a moment in time, bridging the old copper pennies of the mid-20th century with the modern zinc-plated cents. It's accessible, meaning almost anyone can start collecting without a huge upfront investment. Yet the potential for finding a rare error makes the hunt exciting. Coins like these embody the thrill of discovery, a connection to history, and even a chance to make a small financial gain. For many, it's not just about the money. It's about holding a piece of history in your hand and imagining the thousands of transactions and stories it has witnessed over the decades. So next time you find a 1992 D Lincoln penny in your change, take a closer look. It may just appear as a simple 1-cent coin, but among its millions of peers, there could be one with a tiny flaw or an unusual mark that makes it extraordinary. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can hold secrets, waiting for someone curious enough to discover them. The story of this coin is more than metal and design. It's about history, rarity, and the joy of finding something special in the everyday. Who knows, that penny in your pocket might be more than just change. It could be a piece of history, a collectible treasure, and a conversation starter all at once. Keep your eyes open, and the next coin you hold could be the one that surprises you. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that seems ordinary at first glance, yet it hides a story that could make collectors stop in their tracks. Today, we're diving into the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the attention of numismatists and casual collectors alike. What makes this seemingly simple penny stand out in a world flooded with billions of ordinary cents? Let's find out. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of pennies honoring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln's portrait has graced the obverse of the penny since 1909, celebrating the centennial of his birth. The reverse design, the Lincoln Memorial, had been standard since 1959, making the coin instantly recognizable to anyone familiar with American currency. But what sets the 1994 penny apart is more subtle than the face or the familiar image of the memorial. It's in the details that most people overlook. In 1994, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, but only a fraction of them were made without a mint mark. A mint mark is a small letter on the coin that identifies where it was struck. A D for Denver, a P for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. For reasons that remain a bit of a mystery to collectors, a small number of 1994 pennies were released without any mint mark at all. This absence has made them objects of curiosity, as coins without a mint mark from certain years can be unusually rare. The penny itself is composed primarily of copper-plated zinc. At just 2.5 grams, it is light, small, and easy to overlook. But in numismatic circles, the composition and minting quality can reveal a lot. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's right-facing portrait, with the words "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1994 to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stretches across the center, with "United States of America" and 1 cent clearly inscribed. While the design may seem standard, what makes this coin intriguing is the subtle minting irregularities that appear in some examples. Slight differences in the lettering, tiny imperfections in the metal, or a missing mint mark can instantly elevate a coin's interest among collectors. Why is the 1994 no mint mark penny rare? The short answer is scarcity. In a year when billions of pennies were produced, only a small portion emerged without any mint mark. The absence of this mark makes the coin unusual, and in numismatics, unusual often translates to collectible. While it's not a coin that routinely sells for millions, it has a dedicated following and can fetch higher than face value in the right circles, especially if it's in pristine condition. Coins graded as uncirculated or mint state can be particularly appealing. Collectors prize the coin not only for its scarcity, but for its connection to a modern era of American currency, where most coins are so common they are overlooked. Real auction examples highlight the value of this coin. A well-preserved 1994 no-mint mark penny sold for around $50 to a few $100, depending on condition. While that might seem modest compared to older, legendary coins, for a modern penny, this is significant. Most 1994 pennies you find in your pocket or in jars at home are worth only their face value. But one with no mint mark, sharp details, and minimal wear becomes a collector's gem. Some online collector communities report even higher interest, particularly when multiple coins in excellent condition appear at auction. Identifying a real 1994 no-mint mark penny versus a fake or altered version requires a careful eye. First, examine the area where the mint mark would usually appear, just below the year. If there is absolutely nothing there, you may have a candidate. But be wary of coins where the mint mark has been polished away or altered. These are considered tampered and lose collector value. Authentic coins also show consistent wear and natural toning. Look closely at the edges and lettering. Genuine coins have clean, sharp lines, while counterfeit or altered examples often show irregularities, such as uneven surfaces, blurred letters, or scratches that don't match natural circulation patterns. Consulting a professional grader or numismatist can provide additional verification, especially if you suspect a high-grade specimen. Here's a fun detail that most people don't know. The 1994 no-mint mark penny is part of a subtle narrative in U.S. coin history. During the early 1990s, the mint was experimenting with production efficiencies and quality controls. Some coins slipped through with minor anomalies, creating modern rarities like this one. It's also a reminder that even coins produced in enormous quantities can have unique variations, giving each piece a story and a connection to a very specific moment in American minting history. Some collectors enjoy the detective work of finding these anomalies, almost like piecing together a small historical puzzle with each coin. Collectors love this coin today because it represents something rare in the everyday world of pennies. It's modern enough to be familiar but unusual enough to stand out. The thrill comes from the hunt, searching rolls of change, visiting coin shows, and inspecting collections to find a penny that many people overlook but that holds hidden value. Owning a 1994 no-mint mark penny is like holding a small piece of numismatic mystery, a token that reminds you to look closer at what seems ordinary. So next time you empty your pocket change, pause for a moment. Among the countless pennies, nickels, and dimes, there might be a coin with no mint mark, a modern rarity hiding in plain sight. The 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny invites curiosity, offers a story, and proves that even the smallest objects can hold surprising value. Could the next coin you pick up be one that collectors dream about? Keep looking, keep exploring, and remember that history sometimes fits right in the palm of your hand. The story of the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that rarity can exist anywhere, even in the coins we use every day. Its subtle absence of a mint mark, its connection to a modern era, and its appeal among collectors make it a fascinating chapter in the ongoing tale of American coinage. If you ever stumble upon one, take a closer look. You might be holding more than just a penny. You could be holding a piece of history that sparks curiosity, conversation, and maybe even a little bit of fortune. The ordinary penny has never felt so extraordinary. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin so ordinary at first glance that most people toss it in their pocket without a second thought. Yet among those millions of pennies minted, there exists one that quietly commands attention from collectors and coin enthusiasts alike, the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. You might think, a penny from the year 2000. How could something so recent hold any intrigue? Today, we're diving into the story behind this coin, uncovering why it has earned a special place in the hearts of collectors, and why some examples have sold for surprising amounts. The 2000 no mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, a series first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. The Lincoln penny quickly became an American staple, recognized for its simple design and symbolic connection to our nation's history. By the year 2000, the penny had been through nearly a century of minor changes, but the core features remained the same: Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. While most pennies of this era were produced in massive quantities, a few stand out due to anomalies during production. Among these, the 2000 no mint mark penny has captured the attention of collectors for a subtle but fascinating reason. In the year 2000, the United States Mint produced pennies at several facilities, primarily in Philadelphia and Denver. Typically, coins from Philadelphia are struck without a mint mark, while Denver coins carry a small D below the date. The no mint mark 2000 Lincoln penny should be relatively common because most Philadelphia coins were produced without a mint mark. However, some varieties of this coin have subtle differences that make them rare. These coins were part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which featured the image of the memorial on the back, a design that had been used since 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. On the front, Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, remained unchanged from its debut. The metal composition in 2000 was primarily copper-plated zinc, a shift from the earlier solid copper pennies, which is an important detail when evaluating weight and authenticity. What makes this penny truly interesting is not just its design, but the peculiarities that can occur during mass production. Occasionally, coins are struck without a mint mark even when they shouldn't be, or they exhibit errors like off-center strikes, double dies, or unusual planchet flaws. For the 2000 no mint mark penny, certain error varieties have made headlines among collectors. For example, some coins show a slightly misplaced date, weak strikes, or doubling on the lettering. These anomalies are subtle, often requiring a magnifying glass to detect, but for collectors, they turn an everyday penny into a rare collectible. The rarity of these coins comes from a combination of production quirks and the limited number that survived in mint condition. Millions of 2000 pennies were circulated, but finding one with an error that preserves its details without wear is much more challenging. Coins that remain uncirculated, with sharp detail and no scratches, are particularly prized. This is why the 2000 no mint mark Lincoln penny can command attention at auctions or among private collectors. In some instances, certain error coins from this year have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on the type of error and the coin's condition. A pristine uncirculated penny with a rare double die, for example, could easily attract a collector willing to pay a premium. If you're curious about how to spot a real 2000 no mint mark Lincoln penny, there are a few key things to look for. First, examine the date closely. Any doubling, misalignment, or irregularity can indicate a collectible variety. Second, check the edges and surface for off-center strikes or raised lines that don't match typical wear patterns. Since most 2000 pennies are copper-plated zinc, the weight should be light, around 2.5 grams. Counterfeit or altered coins might feel heavier or exhibit a different color. Using a magnifying glass or loupe is often essential, as the differences between an ordinary penny and a collectible error can be extremely subtle. Beyond the technical aspects, the story of this penny holds some fun and surprising details. Many people don't realize that even coins minted in the 21st century can become collectible within just a few decades. The year 2000 itself carries historical significance, marking the turn of the millennium and sparking interest in anything associated with that symbolic year. Some collectors enjoy the irony that a coin so recent can already hold nostalgic and financial value, especially as coins with no mint mark or minor errors are harder to find in pristine condition. Another interesting fact is that pennies from this era can develop unique patinas over time, giving each coin a slightly different hue, which can add to its aesthetic appeal for display purposes. Collectors love the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, not just for potential monetary gain, but also for the thrill of discovery. There is a certain excitement in sorting through rolls of pennies, examining each one under a magnifying glass, and spotting a rare error that might have gone unnoticed for decades. It's a connection to history, even if the coin itself is only 2 decades old. The coin represents a bridge between ordinary daily life and the meticulous, patient world of numismatics, the study of coins. It's a reminder that value is often hidden in the smallest, most unassuming objects, waiting for someone with curiosity and care to uncover it. Even today, this penny inspires a sense of wonder. What began as a simple, everyday coin has become a conversation starter, a collectible, and a piece of history in miniature form. Whether it's the thrill of spotting an unusual strike, the challenge of identifying a rare variety, or the simple joy of owning a tangible piece of American history, the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has carved out a niche among coin enthusiasts. It proves that rarity and value aren't always defined by age alone. Sometimes, it's the story behind the coin, the peculiarities of its creation, and the care it has received over the years that give it significance. As you hold a 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in your hand, consider the millions of ordinary pennies minted that year. And then think about the few rare examples that have survived with unusual features or errors. Each coin carries a story, a glimpse into the manufacturing process, and a connection to collectors who treasure these tiny artifacts. The next time you come across a seemingly mundane penny, remember that even the most ordinary objects can hide secrets, history, and value waiting to be discovered. So keep looking closely, because the story of coins like the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny shows us that history is often hidden in plain sight, right in the palm of our hands. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by every day without a second thought. Yet this tiny piece of metal could be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars to the right collector. Today, we're talking about a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but hides a story that might surprise you. The 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It looks like a common penny, but there's a twist that has caught the attention of coin enthusiasts across the country. The 2001 Lincoln penny is part of a long line of 1-cent coins honoring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This penny, like all pennies in the series since 1909, features Lincoln's profile on the obverse, or front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, at least for the versions minted before 2009. In 2001, the United States Mint produced pennies in several locations, including Philadelphia and Denver, and coins from these mints normally carry a tiny letter, a mint mark, indicating where they were made. P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and for some older coins, S for San Francisco. But the penny we're focusing on today carries no mint mark at all. That might not sound like a big deal, but it's unusual for 2001. Pennies from Philadelphia usually didn't carry a P mark back then, but certain production quirks and distribution errors can make some of these coins more interesting to collectors. A coin without a mint mark could be a perfectly normal Philadelphia issue, but in some rare cases, it may indicate something more unusual happened during production. The story of the 2001 penny begins with the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been in use since 1959. The penny was primarily made from a zinc core with a thin copper coating. Each coin weighs just over 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. While the design itself is familiar to anyone who has handled a penny, the metal composition had changed over the decades. By 2001, the copper-coated zinc penny was standard, a shift from the older, mostly copper coins that dominated the 20th century. What makes the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln penny truly interesting to collectors are the subtle variations and errors that occasionally appear in production. Coins with unusual die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or missing mint marks can all spark interest because they are limited, often accidentally created, and never exactly repeated. These coins become rare simply because so few made it into circulation before being caught, melted down, or forgotten in a drawer. Collectors are especially drawn to these coins because rarity often drives value. While a standard 2001 penny is worth only a fraction above its face value, a well-preserved no-mint mark version with specific characteristics can fetch much higher prices. In recent years, auction records show that certain 2001 Lincoln pennies without mint marks or with other subtle anomalies have sold for anywhere between $20 to several $100s, depending on condition and demand. Coins that are in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, with no scratches or discoloration, can command premium prices from collectors eager to fill gaps in their Lincoln penny collections. So how do you tell a real 2001 no-mint mark penny from a fake or altered coin? First, examine the surface closely. The mint mark is located just below the date on the obverse. A genuine no-mint mark penny should have a clean, flat space without any signs of erasure or tampering. Look at the edges and the relief of Lincoln's portrait. Genuine coins will have crisp details in the hair, beard, and collar. If something looks off, such as a raised or uneven mark where the mint letter should be, it may have been altered, and experts strongly advise consulting a professional coin grader. The weight, thickness, and magnetic properties of the coin are also key indicators. Zinc-core pennies feel slightly lighter than older copper versions, and subtle color variations can reveal whether the copper plating is original. There are also some fun and surprising details about this penny. Did you know that even though it's over 2 decades old, the 2001 Lincoln penny is one of the most widely circulated pennies in recent memory? Millions were made, yet certain variations like the no-mint mark version remain elusive. Many collectors enjoy the thrill of hunting for these coins in pocket change, rolls from the bank, or even old coin collections passed down through families. It's a reminder that sometimes treasures are hiding in plain sight. Collectors today love the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its monetary potential, but for the story it tells. Every coin has a journey. Some spent decades in someone's pocket, others sat in jars or drawers, and a rare few ended up in auctions where enthusiasts fought to add them to their collections. For coin collectors, these pennies connect history, art, and the thrill of discovery. They are small pieces of American history that you can hold in your hand. Even a coin from 2001, which seems modern, has the power to surprise, educate, and delight anyone interested in numismatics. The allure of the 2001 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is a blend of rarity, condition, and story. It challenges us to look more closely at what we often take for granted. Every detail, from the shine of the copper to the subtle lines of Lincoln's face, can tell you something about how it was made and why it survived. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coins, the excitement comes from knowing that in a pocket or a roll of change, there might be a coin with a story waiting to be uncovered. So the next time you reach for a penny, take a closer look. That ordinary piece of metal could be extraordinary in the right hands. Who knows? Maybe the next rare 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is sitting quietly in your change jar, waiting for someone to notice. Keep looking, stay curious, and remember, history is often hiding in the smallest of places. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks like any other penny in your pocket, yet carries a story that makes it extraordinary. Today, we're diving into the world of the 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors and numismatists alike, not because it's centuries old, but because it holds subtle quirks and surprises that most people never notice. If you think all pennies are the same, this story will change your mind. The 2004 Lincoln penny, part of the long-running series honoring the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, might seem like a typical 1-cent coin at first glance. But there's more here than meets the eye. Unlike most pennies you find in circulation today, this one sometimes comes without the familiar D or S mint mark that indicates where it was struck. That small detail might appear insignificant, but for coin collectors, it can dramatically change the coin's appeal and, in some cases, its value. To understand why, let's step back and consider the year 2004 itself. This was a time when the U.S. Mint was continuing its long tradition of producing the Lincoln cent, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 2004, the reverse side of the penny had already undergone a major redesign. In 2009, the Mint would release the Lincoln Bicentennial Series, but in 2004, the design was the standard Union Shield Series, featuring the shield motif with 13 vertical stripes, symbolizing the original states, and a horizontal bar representing Congress. The obverse, as always, displayed the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had remained largely unchanged for over a century. What makes the 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny interesting isn't just its design, but its production quirks. Most Lincoln pennies produced in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark, and that's where the story begins. In 2004, coins were produced at 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins typically do not have a mint mark, but variations in production can lead to minor errors. Sometimes, the no-mint mark pennies show unusual die varieties, double strikes, or weakly struck letters. These subtle differences are almost invisible to the casual observer, but are highly prized by collectors who understand their significance. The metal composition of the 2004 penny is another interesting aspect. Unlike the older pennies struck primarily from copper, modern cents, including those from 2004, are made mostly from zinc with a thin copper coating. This change, implemented in 1982, means the coin weighs only 2.5 grams, much lighter than its previous 1,982 counterparts. Despite being a simple change in composition, it has implications for how the coin wears over time and how errors might appear. For example, some coins exhibit a copper layer peeling or flaking, revealing the zinc core beneath, a feature that can sometimes make a penny a collectible item. So, why is the 2004 no-mint mark penny valuable or rare? The answer lies in a combination of scarcity, condition, and errors. While millions of pennies were produced that year, pristine examples with perfect luster or unusual die variations are much harder to find. Collectors are particularly drawn to coins with sharp details, no signs of wear, and clear strike patterns. Additionally, certain errors, such as doubled die obverse or misaligned dies, can make a seemingly ordinary penny a standout piece. These coins often sell for far more than their face value, sometimes reaching tens or hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and demand. To give you an idea of real-world value, there have been documented sales of 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies, with minor die errors fetching $50 to $200 at online auctions. More pronounced variations, such as significant doubling or off-center strikes, have sold for $500 or more to dedicated collectors. While these numbers may not reach the millions we see for some older rarities, they're impressive considering the coin is barely 2 decades old. For many, the thrill lies in spotting these subtle differences and knowing they own something that most people overlook every day. Identifying a genuine 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is straightforward, but requires careful observation. The first step is to examine the obverse side for the absence of a mint mark under the date. Next, Look closely at the letters and numbers for signs of doubling or unusual wear patterns. Genuine coins will have consistent edges and a smooth, even surface, while counterfeit or altered coins may show signs of tooling or inconsistent metal coloration. Using a magnifying glass or loupe can reveal details that the naked eye might miss, making the difference between a collectible and an ordinary penny. There are also fun facts that make this coin intriguing beyond its collectability. For instance, the Lincoln Penny series is the longest-running coin series in U.S. history, having been in continuous production since 1909. The 2004 no-mint mark penny is part of that enduring legacy, connecting it to over a century of American history. Despite its modern production, it carries with it the symbolism of Lincoln's leadership and the nation's growth, bridging the past with the present. Some collectors even enjoy the fact that a coin in their pocket could have passed through countless hands, quietly witnessing everyday life across the country. Collectors love the 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny today for several reasons. It represents a modern twist on a historic design, offering both accessibility and the excitement of discovery. Unlike extremely rare coins that may be out of reach financially, this penny allows collectors of all levels to participate in the hobby, search for errors, and learn about the minting process. Its value may not be astronomical, but its story and the subtle details it holds make it endlessly fascinating. The coin encourages curiosity, careful observation, and an appreciation for the small, often unnoticed, objects that carry historical significance. So the next time you reach for a penny, consider this. What if the coin in your hand is more than just currency? The 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might appear ordinary, yet it holds a narrative of design, production, and the thrill of collecting that spans decades. Its understated rarity, combined with the history it represents, makes it a treasure in the eyes of those who know what to look for. Even the most casual observer might glance at it and see only a cent, but for a collector, it is a piece of a much larger story, one that invites you to look closer, wonder, and perhaps even discover a hidden gem among the coins in your pocket. So keep your eyes sharp and your curiosity alive, because the next penny you pick up could be a quiet reminder that history isn't always hidden in museums. It's often right there in your hand, waiting to be noticed. Welcome back. Imagine holding a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, just a penny from 2007, but it hides a story that could surprise you. This isn't just any penny. It's the 2007 mint mark Lincoln penny, a small piece of American history that has caught the attention of collectors across the country. At first, you might think a penny from 2007 couldn't possibly be rare or valuable. But as we explore this coin, you'll see why some of these everyday coins have sparked excitement in the world of numismatics. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly what makes this penny so intriguing and how to spot the ones that truly stand out. The 2007 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. This series has seen hundreds of designs, compositions, and subtle variations over more than a century. The 2007 version continues the tradition of featuring Lincoln's profile on the obverse, or front side, with a modern twist on the reverse side. Specifically, the reverse that year featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design first introduced in 1959, marking Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely at the back, you'll notice the intricate depiction of the memorial's columns and Lincoln seated inside, a level of detail that many people overlook when passing the coin by. 2007 was a year of routine production for the U.S. Mint. Yet that doesn't mean every coin that left the Philadelphia and Denver facilities was identical. The D mint mark indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of two major mints producing pennies in that year, alongside Philadelphia, which used no mint mark. While billions of pennies were minted that year, collectors have learned that subtle differences can make some coins far more interesting than the ones jingling in your pocket. Let's talk about what makes the 2007 Lincoln penny unique. First, the coin's composition is mostly zinc, with a thin copper plating. This has been the standard for pennies since 1982. On the front, you'll see Lincoln's right-facing portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, one of the most recognizable faces in U.S. coinage. The reverse, as mentioned, shows the Lincoln Memorial with the words United States of America and 1 cent prominently displayed. But the real excitement comes from the small variations and errors that can occur during production. Some 2007 pennies were produced with doubling on the mint mark or on Lincoln's date, known as double die errors. Others may have off-center strikes or unusual die cracks. These imperfections are rare, and for collectors they are gold, or at least worth a lot more than the 1 cent printed on the coin. Now you might be wondering, if millions of these coins were minted, how could any be rare or valuable? The answer lies in scarcity and condition. Most 2007 pennies are common, worth just a cent. But the few that carry those subtle errors, especially double dies or notable die cracks, are highly sought after. Even coins with unusually strong or weak strikes can fetch a higher price from collectors who specialize in modern errors. In the world of coin collecting, it's these tiny, almost invisible differences that transform an ordinary penny into a prized collectible. To put that into perspective, consider some real examples from auctions and collector sales. A 2007 double die penny sold for several $100s in uncirculated condition, a staggering amount for a coin most people consider everyday change. Off-center strikes from the same year have also reached prices over $100, depending on severity and condition. These sales illustrate an important point. Rarity doesn't mean the coin is old. Even a modern penny can be valuable if it has unique characteristics that the general public would never notice. If you want to know whether your 2007 penny is one of these rare finds, careful observation is key. Start by examining the mint mark and date. Look for any doubling, misalignment, or irregularities in the letters and numbers. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to inspect the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, especially the columns and Lincoln's figure inside. Off-center strikes will be immediately noticeable, as part of the design will be missing. Compare your coin to verified examples online or in collector guides to confirm any unusual features. Authenticity is crucial, so be wary of polished or altered coins that attempt to mimic errors, as these are often sold fraudulently. There are also some fun and surprising details about the 2007 penny that make it interesting even for casual observers. For example, the Lincoln Memorial design includes a tiny statue of Lincoln inside, which can be seen through the arches. This miniature statue is so detailed that many people carry these pennies for years without ever noticing it. Additionally, some coins from 2007 exhibit color variations due to different batches of copper plating, giving a faintly reddish or yellowish tint. These subtle differences may seem minor, but collectors see them as part of the coin's story. Each coin tells a history of the minting process, of metal composition, and of the tiny imperfections that make no two pennies exactly alike. Collectors today love the 2007 Lincoln penny because it represents a bridge between everyday currency and the fascinating world of coin errors and variations. Unlike centuries-old coins, these pennies are accessible to most people, yet they still offer the thrill of discovery. Finding a rare example in your pocket change or coin jar can feel like uncovering a hidden treasure. It's a modern connection to the past, a reminder that even coins minted in our lifetime can carry stories, mistakes, and surprises worth cherishing. So, the next time you come across a 2007 penny, take a closer look. Check the mint mark, examine the date, and don't forget to peek at the Lincoln Memorial for details you might have missed. That ordinary coin in your hand could be hiding an extraordinary story, waiting for the sharp-eyed collector to appreciate it. And remember, while most 2007D pennies are common, the rare ones prove that value isn't just about age. It's about discovery, attention to detail, and the subtle quirks that make each coin a piece of living history. Who knows, that penny you barely noticed in your change could be more remarkable than you ever imagined. Keep looking closely, because the next small treasure could be just around the corner.